Let's go back in time and take a look at why this is one of the best selling Falcons and Fairmonts ever made. The year was 1989. Ford had a lot on their minds after having a massive success with the X Series XD, XC and XF. It was time to match that. After Holden just came off its VL and into VN, Ford knew they had to come up with something grouse. And this time, it was the EB Falcon. Let's have a look at one of the best selling cars ever made in Australian history. Now you might look at this, and we're in 2024 now. Shit, I nearly said 2023, how time flies. And you might think, wow Max, a car from 1992, must be tired, must be a weekend car. You might see the club plates, but that is not the case. This is my daily, and that's because it is a Ford Fairmont. But let's look at the model range and what you can get for your hard-earned cash back in 1992. It goes back to 1989. The EA year, the year the E Series all started and where it began. Gone were the days of the X Series XD, XF. A huge successful run for Holdens, huge successful year for Fords, absolutely smashing the Holdens VL out the ballpark. And what a way to transition to the EA. Funny enough, you actually do not see many EAs on the road at all anymore. And anyone that owned an EA or knows anything about Fords will tell you they are a bad car. But here I am standing in front of an EB, something that looks 90% similar but is a completely different car. It starts with the EB, 1992, and for your hard-earned money, it starts with a GLI, the POV pack, tight-ass spec. The car with hubcaps, no interior features, and a whole lot of options like just a manual and an AC. A simple car for a simple man. Then we jump to the Ford Falcon Futura and the Futura Classic. A nicer car, still Falcon, but not too bad. Then for a man that wants something a bit sportier, you can get the XR in a 6 or an 8-cylinder engine. Now that does mean the 6 has the same engine as the Fairmont and the base model, or you could get the V8. We'll get into that a bit later. XR came with a whole new body kit, including front new lights, which went from these Fairmont ones to these XR ones, which were featured on the 8 and the 6. So coming down the side of the car, where the XRs, you had a red trim here instead of the chrome for a more sporty look. Mixed with the bigger wheels as well, I think it looks quite tough. Then to the back, this one actually has the XR spoiler. It was put on by the previous owner, but the whole rear garnish is completely different, saying XR6 or XR8, depending which way you were inclined. Back to the Fairmont though. That's when we jump up to the more luxurious ones, the Fairmont and the Fairmont Gear. Fairmont and Fairmont Gear were fairly similar engines, with a bit of interior changes. You might actually prefer a Fairmont over a Fairmont Gear. I quite like the interior of this, but we'll get into that in just a second. The Fairmont was made for more of a sport, for more of a luxurious man, with fully options such as a sunroof, for example. Coming to the interior, you had things like fully automatic climate control, a tread computer that tells you your fuel economy, how much range is in the tank, your average speed, and much, much more. I just think for the price, you might as well get a Fairmont. Came with cruise control as well. So when I'm talking about the years 2024 and I'm still driving a 1992 car, this is why. This has absolutely everything a new car has to offer. Yeah, you don't have your lane assist and SRS and all the rest, but you have what I care about. Cruise control, automatic climate control, and you know what? It's just a generally comfortable car. It tells you fuel economy and stuff like that. What more do you need from a car? This is beautiful, was ahead of its time in my opinion, and the technology makes it all so well up to date. Mix that with the 6-cylinder engine, it's got more than enough power to keep up with today's roads. So the styling of the seat, you just don't see cars made like this anymore. Like the character of the bumper being a whole different colour to the rest of the body, the orange indicators, and yep, that's club plates, it's old. Coming to the front, you have glass headlights, you don't see that very often anymore. And then this chrome strip that goes around the entirety of the car. And to the side of this car, I think this looks like a really smart car. It's pretty straightforward, has this line that goes throughout, and then there's side mouldings in this grey with chrome. That is just something you never see anymore. And on the Fairmont, they're chrome for that sportier, luxurious look, and then you can have a red one for more sporty. I think it's such a beautiful car. It's so low to the ground as well. It's just a unique looking thing, and I absolutely love it. Coming to the end of this car, this is the most unique to the Fairmont. It has this rear garnish that goes across the entire side of the car. And obviously there's no lights or anything in here. It's completely for looks, but I think the looks is fantastic. Obviously you have your tail lights, the rear garnish, your Ford logo, and then Fairmont. If you had a gear, it'd have a little gear badge here. I think it's such a beautiful rear end. XR spoiler, I think just replaces the rear end. I love how this bumper sticks out. You still got the chrome. No exhaust on this one because it's got a dump at the diff, but hey, we'll get more into that a bit later. Now, unlike the XF and XD before it, this thing is worth a tenth of the value of those. Now, in 2024, these are basically at the absolute dip of their depreciation. You can pick up a nice clean example like this for pretty much around that $5,000 mark, but the pricing is quite strange on the EDs, and for one simple reason. EAs are worthless. $800 for a base model, even a Fairmont gear, top of the range one, $800, $1,000. They're just not worth much. They lack a lot of features, they rust badly, and they're easy to steal. And I think people just think they look slightly more ugly. Then you come to the EB. A GLI EB, same story, $1,000, worthless. Really do not hold their value. But then you come up to the XR8 and the XR6. A clean one is worth well over 8 grand, which is just crazy. It's 8 times the value of a base model. Then the Fairmont may have retailed for more 30 years ago, but they're worth less. A Fairmont like this, it's only worth about 2 grand, and the gear is the same. Unless you had options like, I don't know, a sunroof, a VA, or a manual, which wasn't even a factory fitted option, then you can see the prices climb up to like 4, 5, 6K. And if you have all 3 of those together, 10 grand. Oh, what a beautiful engine. Here we are, the Mighty 6, an iconic 4-litre inline 6 engine. But this is no Barra. No, this is Barra's old man. The inline 4, known as an Intec in the later models, this one is just a 4-litre single overhead ham engine. From factory made 145 kilowatts and 350 newton-meters of torque. Not crazy figures, but not too bad either. Then you could have had the factory option 5.0 5-litre V8 Australian made, Australian designed engine. That made 165 kilowatts and 388 newton-meters of torque. You tell me if it's worth going to a V8 for 16 more kilowatts and a shit less fuel economy. Well, that's a story for another day. I think this is the better engine. It's faster. The only downside is it has less power, but it also weighs less. And you know what? I think the 6 shits all over the V8, to be quite honest. But I'm not going to get into that now. Now, here's the issue with this engine. To get the power to the rear-wheel drive, here's the thing with these old Falcons. To get the power to the rear wheels, it has to go through a 4-speed automatic. A long-geared torque converter, very forgiving gearbox. And I think it's no sport gearbox at all. Obviously 4 gears is pretty laughable in 2024. But you got to think of who was driving this car. It was a Fairmont. The manual wasn't an option for a good reason. Automatics were luxurious back then. People weren't buying this to be sporty. They would have bought an XR. See, for me, I like the sportiness, but I also like the Fairmont's luxury. I want a bit of both. And now that they're at peak depreciation, you can. So for me, that automatic is no problem. Because this has a T5 manual. Wow, what a note. Downshift. Amazing what manuals let you do in a car. Yep, that's right. This is T5 converted. Something that wasn't even optional at factory, but goddamn am I glad it's got one. Match this with a really strong clutch, you're in business. This completely transforms the car, makes it feel 10 times faster as well. 5 gears, first to third are extremely short and sharp, and 4th and 5th are long as, perfect for cruising while flogging it. Not that I ever flog it, of course. But oh my, does this car mix luxury and performance, if you will. It has that old school feel while still being new enough to cruise around. Cruising with cruise control on the freeway, why I'm not concerned that it's not a V8. That inline 6 is powerful, and what an excellent note that makes. It is not like new car V6s where it sounds like a trumpet. This has a nice, deep, single overhead cam noise that is just so unique, so beautiful. This one has a single muffler, high flow cut, and it's dumped in the diff as well. Very much exhaust, but oh my god, it sounds grouse. Mix that with the extractors that look about 15 years old, but still doing the job just fine. I absolutely love this car. This has ELGT wheels, you guys might have noticed, so 17 inch. A factory wheel from obviously the ELGT. Handles absolutely magnificently. Mix that with the diff. You've just got a perfect recipe for fun in this car. This also has a drop-in cam, which you can probably hear, but yeah, it makes all the right noises, all the right power. You just wouldn't need much more than this, and being only a 6, it only weighs about 1,500 kilos too. So that's good enough for me. What do you guys say? Let's hear that note one more time. I paid $3,200 for this car. I tell you now, there is not many cars that will make you feel this way for that price. Even double that, triple that price. Not many cars are giving you that experience for this price with this reliability. You can't beat it. I absolutely love this car. I absolutely love it. But as far as thrashing is concerned, it's not fantastic being the Fairmont, and that's because of these seats. They're not holding me in. You know, that's the drawbacks of it, but we'll get into that very soon. This thing never overheats either because of the clutch fan. It's always spinning pretty much, depending on how fast the engine's moving. I think that's how it works anyway. That's how it seems to work, but let's show you guys this interior, and we've had enough of the sporty thrashing side. How about we look at the luxury side of this car? Okay, entering the interior of the 1992 EB Fairmont. Now, straight off the bat, you guys probably see this. Does this look like a car that's 33 years old with over 260,000 kilometers? No. That's because simply they don't make them like they used to. This interior has stood the test of time. Factory seats still look absolutely beautiful. Leather here, no perforations, no damage at all. All this is completely original, nothing's cracked. You can't even tell it's really worn out. Yeah, sure, some of the buttons are a bit shiny and the steering wheel's getting a bit glossy. But you know what? Who gives a shit? Obviously, this one has been optioned with the suede interior, so all the door is completely suede, the seats are suede, and I think that is the definition of the way to go. I hate leather interiors. I hate them. I mean, on the record to say it, and I think a lot of you agree. Unless you're getting a really nice upper-class Mercedes, BMW leather interior, sure, they're ventilated, perforated, some of you even jack you off or, you know, massage you or whatever. These old school leather seats suck. Even this sucks. This is leather. If it gets anything hotter than 25 degrees, this is a pan you could cook an egg on it. In the winter, this is freezing, you don't want to touch it. I couldn't imagine sitting on this and this being everywhere, peeling your skin off it. I hate it. I hate the idea of it. I'm so glad this is suede. But that's enough about that. Let's look at the steering wheel, for example. So this one is comically large in my opinion, but it does have cruise control buttons, which is super easy and nice to use. It's actually based off vacuum. It's not electric cruise control. That's because it's a cable throttle, so it's off vacuum. I don't exactly know how it works, but it's cool. But coming to the center, you have your demister button. Then you have this. This is one of the things I love about this car. It says your instant fuel economy, average Ks, average range. I find that to be quite accurate. Right now we're doing 12.2 average fuel economy, and that's because I did a bit of spirited driving for this. But typically I get between 9 litres to 11 averaging. You know, this will easily do 7 litres on the highway cruising at 1800 RPM at 100 kilometers an hour. But it'll also do 15 litres in the city in really bad traffic. So it averages between 9 and 11, which I think is pretty honest and not too bad, all things considered. I'm actually surprised it gets that good fuel economy. Anyway, enough of that. Below is my aftermarket Sony head unit. This was $100, really cheap, but does the job. It's Bluetooth and you can plug a phone into it. Nothing really about it. I really hate the stock one. Obviously it's cool to have a factory one, but it's doing you absolutely zero favors. Then obviously you have the 5-speed manual. This one's really tight. Now obviously this is a Fairmont. It has fully electric windows, fully electric mirrors, and you know what? There's not much more I can ask for. So that is perfect. It's got a really big center console, which I obviously can rest your arm on. And I find in this car, with these seats, the steering wheel's huge, you've got the comfort here, whatever, you can find a really comfortable cruisy position, which I honestly struggle to find in a lot of cars, but in this car I can find it quite alright. Other than that, it's got your headlights, which are on the dash, which is a really different thing. Huge in the 90s, huge in these Falcons and Commodores. I don't know if they still do it, but it's on the dash and it's a switch, unlike being on the stalks here, which is dedicated to just your indicators and window wipers. I think that is quite interesting, to say the least. But yeah, great interior, cannot complain. But yeah, it's not bad. The Fairmont side of things is nice. Obviously this looks like a huge car, right? And it is fairly big. And the interior matches it. Look at the back seats. Coming into the back, you can see I've got a huge golf club thing, room at the front, room at the back. There's heaps of room everywhere, and they don't cheap out. It's got the same nice suede. Obviously this has had a tire on it, which has kind of destroyed it, but the seats are nice suede, and yeah, I think that looks pretty damn good. But this car is actually not that big. I know it looks huge, but it fits in every car spot totally fine. And they made an NC Fairlane, which is even larger than this, and the wagons are even longer. So you know what? It really ain't that bad. All right, we've talked about the interior and the Fairmont side of things, and we just drove it like it was an XR6 or an XR8. How about we go drive it like what it was designed for, a Fairmont, but cruising, and let's see how it cruises on these great Australian roads. Someone has clearly enjoyed some type of car, maybe a Falcon, maybe a Commodore, but you know what? It wasn't me. Right, driving this like a Fairmont should be driven. Comfort. We'll give it one pull though. I drive this car completely normal about 99% of the time, and that's how it's meant to be driven, just normally, like cruising. It's actually really quiet cruising, you know, and that's because it's a luxury car. It's got like suede everywhere, which really dampens the noise, and you know, mix that with just cruise control, the low RPM when you're cruising. It's just a nice, easygoing, comfortable car. Obviously this car, it's still 32 years old. It's gonna have its creaks, its rattles, whatever, but it's still Australian made. I think it's been built quite well, and I'm on a horrific road right now, and it's fairly quiet. But obviously a car like this, I think it's smart to upgrade your speakers, upgrade the head unit, and honestly that's about it, because it's got everything else you need. Cruise control, automatic climate control, you got these luxuries like electric windows. Simple, straightforward things that make a huge difference in my opinion. So as long as you've got all the other stuff upgraded that are going to be 32 years old, like speakers and a head unit, I think you've covered most of the ground. And when it comes down to it, I'm just cruising right now in a really nice, comfortable position on shithouse back roads, and this car just absolutely eats the kilometers. You can put 91 in it, some cheap fuel, and it's going to do the job. You'll get good fuel economy, and to be honest, nothing's stopping this. It's made in a time where you can drop a cylinder, lose a gear, and still make it home, no drama. It's just such a simple engine. It's so easy to work on, and truthfully, it is a shame that they don't make Holdens and Falcons. Obviously, I'm not a huge Holden man, but I absolutely love Falcons and Fairmonts, and it is a real shame they don't make them anymore, and that they're just skyrocketing in value. And people are realising you're never going to get a car like this, you know. For under 5k, you're getting a manual T5 with some ELGT wheels. They're only like $800 off Facebook, and you get a nice cool cruiser where you still have all the luxuries like AC and stuff like that you need. And that's why I daily this, because you save so much money owning a cheaper car like this, putting 91 in it. There's no depreciation here. It doesn't matter how many Ks go on it. Like, you get so much character in these older cars. It's just so much to like. And they're powerful enough, they 100% keep up. This one's EFI as well, so it's not even like an old school carburetor. It doesn't matter if it's 40 degrees, you've got the clutch fan keeping the engine cool, or if it's 0 degrees and it's a cold start, you know, no carby, direct injection, starts first click every time, probably has for the last 32 years. And you know what? That's what I love about this car. Dead reliable. People always ask me, how do you go about dailing an old school car? You know, you've got a job, you've got to work. This thing has never let me down in the year. I've owned this for over a year now, probably a year and 3 months. Never let me down. I absolutely love it. And it's on club permit, so it only costs me $50 a year to keep on club reg. You can argue fuel economy is kind of shit for what it is, but you know what? I don't give a shit. Anyway guys, I hope you enjoyed this style of video. It's probably one of the longer reviews I've done, but I'm passionate about this car. I've waited about a year to record a review because if you've seen this channel, you know I've filmed a lot on it. I recently replaced the taillight. I've slowly just cleaned it up, and I think it's in a point now where it is reviewable. The interior is immaculate. The exterior needs a bit of work, but it's clean enough. It runs and drives perfectly. So I thought it's time I review this car. And you know what? There's a hidden surprise coming up in the next few months that I think you guys are going to be really excited for. So subscribe and look out because I got something in the works for you guys. Comment below what you think it is. I'm curious if you guys know. Anyway guys, enjoy your night. Enjoy your day. What a fantastic day it was today, 34 degrees in Melbourne. I could ramble on all day about how great Australia is and how Holdens and Fords aren't what they used to be. But that's it for today's video. I hope you guys liked it. Like the video so I know you liked it, or tell me in the comments. See ya.